The Pacific Division Oilers are bridesmaids again as the Florida Panthers go back to back. More on the Stanley Cup champions, plus on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone, from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. I'm a longtime sportscaster, marketing and event consultant, and the host of the Believe in Vegas podcast. Chris is the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Coming up ahead on today's show, of course, we'll talk about the Panthers running it back. Should there be a salary cap in the playoffs? That's a pretty interesting topic. And we will talk about the 24-25 NHL All-Stars. We talked about it before on the show. Would they name an All-Star team? Well, they did, and we'll get to that and tell you if any Golden Knights were honored. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Go to FanDuel.com. ORATs, for a second consecutive year, Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champions. They defeat the Edmonton Oilers, the Western Conference champions. In Game 6 in the finale, the Panthers imposed their will, and they coasted to a 5-1 victory. In the end, Florida was pretty much a team that wore down Edmonton, Chris, to win the series, and they won it 4-2. And now we're talking dynasty in South Florida.
Definitely a dynasty, and this team might not slow down anytime soon as well. They got a lot of cap space. They got a lot of free agents to deal with, but they do have a lot of cap space, and there's no reason besides injury or just simple fatigue factor that the Florida Panthers are not going to be there every bit of the way, challenging for the East and a third straight Stanley Cup come this time, 2026. So congrats to the Panthers. They've shown the entire league how far behind all the other teams are. You start, of course, with the Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. Good hockey team. Really, 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 really good hockey team. And yeah, you had some overtime games and everything, but the couple of games that didn't go to overtime, Edmonton just got ran out of the building per se. Not that I think it makes this. I mean, it could have made a difference. Zach Hyman's injury, I think that's something that maybe isn't getting enough pub right now. Does Zach Hyman tilt the series? I don't know if he tilts the entire series. Does he maybe tilt one of the 4 games that the Oilers lost? I think that's a fair thing to say.
A sign that the Oilers were beaten down as I'm watching the game. Sam Reinhart, his second goal of the night of 4 goals. He scored 4 times. The one that made it 3-0 in the second period. A lot of offensive zone time, a lot of opportunities for the Panthers before Stuart Skinner misplays the puck badly. And the Oilers were cooked and no coming back at that point. For Edmonton to break through, they really do need goaltending. They're going to have to address it in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, high danger chances were 86-88 in favor of the Florida Panthers, #1. So the series could have gone either way if you're simply going to look at the stats and things like that. What does that tell you? Well, then that tells you that the X factors were likely the defense and the goaltending on the side of the Edmonton Oilers. You're trying to decide between Cal Pickard and Stuart Skinner. That's a problem. Edmonton Oilers defense passengers a lot of plays. I think you're alluding to where Darnell Nurse just kind of sitting there watching the puck go off Stuart Skinner and doesn't really do much to clear the slot like we've seen in Vegas many times with all 6 of the defenders. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, I put a tweet out there and it went a little bonkers, just basically saying that the Oilers are wasting the careers of Draisaitl and McDavid here. You got 2 of the greatest players in the world, if not the 2 greatest players in the world. And it's not like this is, it's been 10 years since this duo has been in Edmonton. And you wonder when they're finally going to break through. Now, glass half full, they've been in the Stanley Cup twice in a row. The 2 years before that, they lost to the Stanley Cup champions in the Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. So Is it bad luck to keep running into these wagons? I guess so. But you know what? In Edmonton, there's no glass half full when you have McDavid and Draisaitl right now. And interesting to see what happens in the offseason. And maybe Edmonton just shakes everything up and trades for a high-profile goalie.
Finally, we got the hat trick in the series, plus 650. Over goals were 5-0-1. For some reason, the total came down to 6 for that last game. And Sam Bennett wins Conn Smythe, 15 goals, 22 points, 23 playoff games.
Free agents, Sam Bennett, Tony.
Yeah, it keeps going up. They're going, yeah, the Florida Panthers tried to McCrimmon him, and they tried to lowball him and go, 7 million times 8. Yeah, okay. That's not going to work. But yeah, what his future is very much uncertain at this point.
Yeah, Sam Bennett's one of those players that, you don't hear a lot about him unless he's on the big stage, and you watch how he just you mentioned earlier, imposed his will on the entire series, whether it's on the scoring side. And he's gritty also. That's the other thing that's fun to watch. He plays on that line. He probably crossed the line a few times, but it's the Stanley Cup final. Everybody crosses the line, or, well, Evander Kane doesn't even go on the line at the end of the game, doesn't even go on the handshake line. I'm sure you'll take me there later. But back to Sam Bennett. I mean, what's the future for Sam Bennett? And is Sam Bennett plan B if Mitch Marner doesn't, work out in Vegas? Or how's that going to shake out? I mean, did Sam Bennett just play himself into, a 10 million AAV from, the 7 million offer or his 8 million projection? I mean, a lot of fun going to be happening between now and July 1st, pardon me, as we figure out free agency. And the draft.
The draft coming up, that'll be next week already, the 27th and the 28th in Los Angeles. I'm sure we'll be talking about that. But one of the coolest things I've ever seen, perhaps in any sport, Captain Alexander Barkov hands the cup off to Nate Schmidt.
That was nice.
Former Golden Knight.
That was
who
nice.
Then passes it down the line to all of the first-time cup winners, to Seth Jones, to Tomas Nosek, another former VGKer. And then just that reaction of Schmidt after the game. And he said, I don't know what was going on, but Barkov gave me the death stare and said, you're going to have the best lap like around the ice that you've ever encountered. I thought that was a terrific moment, especially for Schmidt. 741 career regular season games, and he finally gets to carry the cup. Former Golden Knight, great dude. It's always good to have him here in Vegas.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know if he'll be coming back in a few weeks for the softball game or not. We'll see about that soon. But yeah, I mean, how can you not be happy watching Nate Schmidt? I was wondering when Schmidt and Nosek would be in the mix, because they are becoming the elders of the NHL now. Sad to think about that, but
Schmidt,
that's just the reality.
Gosh, he played so well, right? I mean,
Nate Schmidt was great. And I mean, if you're going to point to X factors that, not named Barkov and Sam Bennett and Matty Tkachuk and Brad Marchand, Nate Schmidt's name is going to come up. He solidified the defense. I don't know how healthy he was last year. I'm assuming he had a pretty healthy season. And you're scoring goals, getting a lot of points throughout the playoffs and everything. So good on Schmidt, good on Nosek as well. I mean, two good, hardworking players. Fun fact, I once rode in the high roller, the Ferris wheel over at the link with Nosek, with the family. That was kind of fun a few years ago when he was with the Golden Knights, and now he's a Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, when I was working for that softball event here in the summers, we did an after party. Schmidt came in and was posing. I post that photo a lot of Schmidt holding one of the Ryan Reeves beers, that he has. And he was just having such a good time. We caught up and chatted. What a great dude. First period did in these games. Let's face it, the Edmonton Oilers, we talked about scoring first. That was a key. 13-4 in the first period, scoring 9-0 in the last 4 games in favor of Florida. I want to move along here, but holy smokes, we're going to run out of time here in this first
I'll
segment.
help you. Evander Kane is trash and classless, and should have been in the handshake line and not taking a stupid penalty down the stretch.
I was going to go there.
For you.
Okay, and then of course injuries. Tkachuk said he had a torn adductor muscle. Off the
bone. Yep.
Yeah. And then he played with some sort of hernia injury. And then Barkov cut his hand. Reinhardt with a grade 2 MCL injury. And so that team's still at the elbow room at 6:01 Pacific time, still partying it up with the cup. When we return, should there be a salary cap for the playoffs? We'll get to that as we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. The NBA playoffs are coming down to the wire, and every night that we've seen so far, delivering highlight-worthy performances other than Halliburton, who just whatever the bed. And there's a lot of momentum shifts and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it so easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, all sorts of things. They have the same game parlays, and fans have more ways to play and to play smart and to win big. And of course, if you really have a read on what's happening, you can back up everything with the same game parlay, as now OKC looking to close out the Pacers here in that series. How could a $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? That's right. Go to FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. If you are new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first bet for $5. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Of course, the NHL season is over, but it's just begun for us here at Locked On Golden
Knights. A good offseason.
Oh my gosh, it's been really chock full of a lot of news. Marner Mondays, that's a new feature. We'll have all sorts of new features here in the next few weeks. So the new CBA. Chris Johnson said that the NHL and the Players Association have been discussing modifications, if you will, that could indeed lead to a playoff salary cap to prevent teams from exploiting loopholes. That is a good way to put it. What are your thoughts? I think this would balance things out in the league. And I've always thought about whether they should have a salary cap in the postseason. Things would definitely play out a lot different.
I think it should be the exact same as it is in the regular season. I mean, why not? Here's your team, here's what you do, and there you go. And listen, I'm not going to go down the path of circumvention and stuff like that, because that's another argument for another time. But
what did I call it? I called it something else, though. Cap, something else. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sure we have many times. But point being is that why not just have it be the same all year round? Problem solved. That solves a lot of the LTIR drama. That solves a lot of this discussion about it. It's not a tainted cup. Anyone that says that doesn't know what they're talking about. But it takes away the arguments of the Florida Panthers of 25-26, the Golden Knights of 22-23, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Kucherov year, Patrick Kane, and I'm sure there's other ones that we're missing here in the AllStars.
Did you mean 24-25, not 25-26?
Whatever. I'm already in the future.
Okay.
Panthers are going to run it back again. They're going to run it back again. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's one of those things like this. It's the funniest thing because every GM doesn't want to sign their name or vote or however this plays out every year in the CBA to be the one to vote against it because it might happen to them. Look at the Florida Panthers. Matty Tkachuk gets hurt in the Four Nations, misses the entire season after that. Doesn't even know if he can get back in. And that might have been some coach speak right there. Some decoy. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I don't know how you go from I don't know if I can play to having that type of a postseason. But again, whatever. But the GMs don't want to be all of a sudden. If Edmonton Oilers, they lose McDavid. Oh my God, this is terrible. There's their chance to win the Stanley Cup, so they get a do-over in the sense that put them on LTIR and they can sign someone else to get them to the playoffs. And here comes McDavid back into the fold. So yeah, I think the salary cap should be the exact same in the playoffs and the regular season, and that cuts a lot of the crap out of it.
Wasn't it Ekblad who was suspended for 20 games, and so they put him on LTIR essentially, and that's when
A
they signed
suspension,
Brad.
doesn't that count? That has to count against the salary cap, doesn't it?
I don't believe so. That's when they signed
I know
Marchand.
what you're talking about. I do know the situation. I don't
Yeah.
didn't know
I don't
well
think
enough.
it
Yeah,
can.
that's
No, I
stupid.
don't think it counted against the cap because they have some antiquated rules in the NHL. And right now, in case you don't understand it, teams can exceed the regular season cap and activate players off of LTIR, aka a lot of shenanigans go on. So the reason why they have the salary cap existed in the first place was for balance in the league. That's why they wanted the cap. So if they want balance in the regular season, why do they not want balance in the postseason? That's a big question. I think you need to address
It
it,
has an
right?
easy answer, Tony. The answer comes down to ratings. The NHL, this is where the NHL's influence on this
They
situation
didn't have any
plays on it.
ratings. They were just, I want to see the ratings. I
Okay,
don't think
take
they were
Connor
very
McDavid
good.
out of that Stanley Cup final and what happens? I mean, they go down even more. The point is that the NHL wants the best players in the world in the postseason, no matter what the cost is. If they're injured in the last 20, 25, 30 games of the regular season, they come back in the playoffs. That's good for business. That's good for TV ratings. It's good for social media impressions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is the reason that this exists. So the best players in the world, should they be injured in the regular season, they get to come back in the postseason. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's how it should be. But again, at the end of the day, Tony, it comes down to the money. The players on the ice, they're just pawns for the owners and ways for them to make money and everything, and then it all goes downhill from there. So the players, I'm saying that it's not important to the players. The players love the game. That's why they do it. But they're simply pawns in the billionaires' games of the owners, are trying to make sure they make their money. And having Connor McDavid, having Matty Tkachuk, having Mark Stone, having Patrick Kane, having Nikita Kucherov on the ice in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs is good for business. End of story. That's why it's like this.
In addition to, I think they should impose a salary cap for the postseason. I really would have to wonder how some of these teams would fare if there were a cap in the postseason. That would be so interesting how things would shake out. Another thing that should be banned is touching.
How do the Carolina Hurricanes feel? They've been bus rolled a couple times in the East. Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, there was a famous interview. What are they? 18 million over the cap, whatever the number was, and now they go down to the Panthers this year. I mean,
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to evaluate all that. And I was going to say another thing that should be banned is touching the conference trophy, the championship trophy, the Campbell Cup. Why in the world did Edmonton touch that cup? They have I'm looking online. I was looking that elbow room in Fort Lauderdale is absolutely packed here at 9
Was there?
o'clock
They were
in the
like they dumping the drinks off the balcony last year or something like that.
Yeah, that was it. And then like as people were driving by on that little road there, that little highway, whatever that is, right there adjacent to the ocean, they're carrying the cup around, and people are going over and touching it and stuff. How many? I didn't see any live rats inside that cup last night.
I'm sure there probably are down there.
There's no way. I told you last year. There's absolutely no way I would ever drink out of that cup. I just have no.
I know, Tony. That's where you draw the line on all your things. I get it. What I still remember going back to when Ovechkin and the Capitals won the cup in Vegas. There's a video of sometime, I don't know what time it was. I'm assuming middle of the night, late, where they're walking right through the lobby of the MGM Grand carrying the Stanley Cup. And there's like all these people that are just coming out of the clubs like, what the heck is that thing over there? And, it was this is where the fun begins now, watching the travels and everything. And not necessarily the day with the cup and all that's fun, but like these next 2 or 3 days where the cup mysteriously pops up. I don't know if they have Waffle Houses in Florida. I'm assuming that's going to be the chalk, maybe probably right about now, honestly. Where
they have to stop at Dairy Queen.
It's going to be a Dairy. Dairy Queen's eating this up. I mean, Jackie Redmond even got that. I'll bet Jackie Redmond got a little kickback to get that out there. And
about the Blizzard.
So I mean, listen, it's fun. It's a Stanley Cup. I'm not sad the season's over. I was ready for hockey to end actually a while back, and I'm looking forward to the off season now and a lot of fun coming up. Not just Vegas, but the entire National Hockey League. It's a fun off season coming up.
For sure. Remember, I asked if the NHL was going to name an all-star team, even though they had the Four Nations break instead. Well, an all-star team was announced late last week. Were any VGK players on the list? We'll talk about it next right here on Lockdown Golden Knights. Welcome back on this edition of Lockdown Golden Knights, a very stuffed Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. I went to a restaurant opening yesterday. I never eat like that. But I was like, okay.
How many chicken McNuggets did you have?
No, there's no McNuggets there. It was Italian food, Il Chianti 2. There's one in Henderson and now the new one out there on Grand Canyon. Nice little plug there. But all Italian food, and they just kept bringing food out of the kitchen, and it was ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, no, I'm stuffed, no more. Hey, here's cannoli. Okay, we'll try that. Hey, do you want tiramisu? Yeah, let's pile that on too. I never eat that much. So thanks again to everyone out there. That was a terrific time last night, and a terrific time as well is WTF on Fridays. And a terrific time also is the Chris and Chris Jr. show, sometimes on Saturdays. So Jack Eichel, we talk a lot about him inching up, and he's moving up the list there for awards, but has not broken through yet. But hey, he has he's an Olympian, right, for Team USA. He played for his country in the Four Nations, but the NHL named just 12 players as sort of an all-star team, an all-NHL team, what have you. And I was curious, I don't know if you recall, but back at the Four Nations, I was like, are they still going to have like NHL All-Stars? It's nice to have that list. In any event, Eichel finished fourth, I think, there as center behind Nathan MacKinnon, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid. So he is now moving up in the ranks, if you will, and among the elite there in the National Hockey League. And that's big news.
Yeah, maybe one to park for sometime next week or later this week, depending on
the napkin.
Yeah, where is Jack Eichel? If you rank him as far as the best players in the league, where do we rank him? And that's a good discussion.
Okay, it's a good one. That's a good one.
No, I mean, listen, Jack Eichel's right in the right spot. I mean, McKinnon, Draisaitl, McDavid, and then there's a slight drop off to Eichel. But he's right there with Crosby, Barkov, Austin Matthews, Jake Ensel, and Jack Hughes, and it's pretty exciting to see. And is this enough, though? That's the big question we've been asking ourselves for the last 2.5 weeks, and that's why Mitch Marner's name keeps coming up, or Sam Bennett's name keeps coming up, or Jonathan Marchessault coming back to Vegas.
Marner or bust. Marner or bust. I sent you. It's also that story was being picked up by a lot of television stations around the country on websites. That's what I was trying to send you.
Yeah, no, I saw it. The link kept being broken every time you sent it, but that's good. And listen, Eichel, I mean, he's doing everything right in Vegas, and it's not just what he's doing on the ice, but his character off the ice, and the fact that he's grown into this leader, a great citizen of Southern Nevada with his work with charities. He still still doing the softball game now, 3 years running as the leader and everything. I mean, it's awesome to see, and Vegas is lucky to have him, and franchise-altering signing. That's the key.
Like Marner.
That's why we keep going to Marner. Exactly. Exactly.
Marner.
I don't think Sam Bennett would be a big drop-off, Tony. I'm not going to lie, though. I don't think that's a big drop-off.
I don't know.
You saved $3 million, but now you got too many centers, and that means William Karlsson is gone.
Okay, that would be.
Oh, now all of a sudden it's Bennett or bust.
No.
Yeah, it's Bennett or bust.
Bennett or bust. Let's sign him. Have to have him. People were going bonkers about that. Left winger Kyle Connor, first time in All-Star, first teamer. And Brandon Hagel was next, and no Golden Knights in the top 16. Right winger Kucherov and Pasternak, no votes, not even for Dorofeev. I thought perhaps might get at least one tally here from the locals. Defense, that's where there were some votes there. This is for the NHL All-Stars. Shea Theodore tied for 14th with 7 votes, and Braden McNabb received 1 vote. But I mean, when you look at the elite, though, look at who's up there. Cale Makar, repeatedly. This is why VGK needs those named players to break through. Zach Werenski, Quinn Hughes, Victor Hedman. Defensively, you do need players to break through for the Golden Knights. We talked about that no award winners for this club. And Jack Eichel, perhaps, again, the marquee player. But imagine him and Marner. I think they both would elevate each other's game here in
Yeah,
Vegas. I
100%.
could not get through an episode without mentioning Marner's name 15 times. Sorry.
Yeah, no, if we keep going, maybe I'll make an SEO or something and we'll get a few more clicks on this one. I mean, listen, looking at the defense here, the youth movement here, Makar, Quinn Hughes, Lane Hudson, Jake Sanderson. That's what gets me about this here and just how good the defense is. You go down to people like Brock Faber, of course, Shea Theodore, not younger necessarily, but, just kind of coming into possibly the prime of his career. And, can Theodore just avoid a year of injury, and miss a couple games here, fine, whatever, but get into the 70s, get into like 72, 73, 75 games. And I'll say this until it happens, and I think it will. Shea Theodore is 175 game season away from being maybe not in that Norris finalist, but being right in that top 5, top 6 area. And if he does put together, let's say, a 70-point season, it's unfortunate that Norris is so driven by the offensive stats, but that's always how it's been. But Shea Theodore definitely could find his way in there if he can have about a 70-point season. Is anyone ever going to get Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes out of there? I doubt it. And, of course, Zach Werenski doesn't get enough pub for the season that he had, mainly just because of the market that he plays in. So, yeah, I mean, you need to see more VGK names in here. Braden McNabb gets the honorable mention, and he's deserving. I mean, I'll say it again, we screwed up on the other day. On the other show, we talked about the core four. We never even mentioned McNabb's name. Neither one. We never even, as an outside, we never even said his name, and that's a miss. That's a miss.
Yeah, but great engagement by the fans. We appreciate all of you. Everyone had different core fours outside of pretty much Eichel and Stone. Some didn't even have Stone in their core four, so that was a really good conversation. Goaltenders, we're talking about the 24-25 NHL All-Stars, or as Chris might say, the 25-26 All-Stars.
Yes.
Goaltenders, Hellebuck and Vasilevsky. Logan Thompson finished fifth. Logan Thompson finished fifth, which is impressive. But Aiden Hill, no votes. Even Lucas Dostel and Sam Montembeault finished with votes ahead of Aiden Hill. Why no votes for Aiden Hill?
Local boys put some. I mean, listen, Aiden Hill, he had a good year. He had his best regular season ever as far as health and everything.
I thought he'd be middle of the pack when I saw when the list first came out.
I mean, Aiden Hill started slow. And another thing, and not that Sam Montembeault stock is any higher because of it, but Aiden Hill famously rode the pine in the Four Nations. And again, that's a knock on him a little bit, I guess. He rode the pine in the Four Nations, so that's not going to help when it comes to this other consideration and everything. But, does it matter? Really not that much as far as Aiden Hill's name not being in here. If Aiden Hill puts together another 50 appearance or 50 start season, that'd be wonderful for the Golden Knights. Although 32 games of Akira Schmidt doesn't make me feel good right now, but that's another one for the napkin for another time, I guess.
Yeah, and I was surprised that Samsonov didn't receive any votes as well. Goaltending for VGK.
Do you think he has a LinkedIn, Samsonov? He pretty should.
He probably should. Let's go and friend him there and connect with him. The one thing I was going to say about Aiden Hill, you have to believe that even playing backup, that role, Four Nations, helped him out a lot because, again, he
got a lot better down the stretch.
Correct. And that, I think it helped him. It was beneficial. He doesn't get to play in the games, but as he had mentioned, he goes up against elite skaters, the top players in the NHL every single day. And so it really, I felt, helped him out. A lot of these players, the injuries and such. But one of the positive stories, I think, was how it improved the game of Aiden Hill.
100%. I mean, listen, Aiden Hill, I know we dragged him a lot, but he's got to get a lot of credit for the entire season. And he did mention, I mean, he handled the Four Nations in stride. And he was like, hey, listen, I didn't get on the ice, but I had some pretty good practices. Imagine trying to be out there on the power play unit, stopping a power play led by Crosby and McKinnon and McDavid and everything right there. That's not that easy to do. And so if he's putting in as much effort as he can in the practice, you're going to come out on the other side looking pretty good. And he did. Aiden Hill was much better down the stretch than he was in the first 4 or 5 months of the season. He was fine in the playoffs, not great, but he's definitely not the reason this team lost in the playoffs by any means. And the Golden Knights got their guy for the next 6 years, whatever his contract is. And that's, I mean, you can argue if that's maybe the right decision or not, but it's a decision it's not the wrong decision, I think, is how I'll say it now.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. Again, congratulations to the Panthers and all their fans tomorrow when we record our next show at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure they'll still be at the Elbow Room celebrating the Panthers. For my man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Please take care.